Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action, and Harkon here attempting to break his own neck, apparently. Oh man, dude, there's something wrong with you. He is going to be taking on the Warriors of Chaos here. Myself against Zach Bassane here, who's a pretty good tournament player, so let's get to it. Harkon in the air. I've got the pistol deck droppers, because with the taunt and hornswaggle, we don't really need the AP here necessarily. 3 bloated corpses. These guys are my main party piece here. Dude, you got something in your eye, man. Oh man, look at that. Pretty neat. They've got cheaper in the last patch, and on a map like this, where you have these little scattered pieces of woods and so on, you can hide them pretty easily, and it's a nice, nasty surprise for your opponent. As for the rest of my army, we've got the Black Spot in the back, Gunnery White on a crab, Fleet Captain on a crab, pole arms up front, and deckhands behind. And yeah, for Zach Bassane's Chaos here, we've got Marauder Horsemen, Chosen, and Marauders mixed in the front line. Got a couple of Chaos Spawn as well. We've got the Mirror Guard out on the flank, and Big Bird leading the way with some champs getting a little bit aggressive here. Looks like they're going to try and soak some of this missile fire. But yeah, pretty decent. The shield rush is pretty common, and I actually like the pick of the Chaos Spawn here pretty well. They do reasonably well against most zombie infantry, and they do get shot up a little bit, but I mean, being unbreakable definitely helps. But yeah, you can see as the Warriors of Chaos advance here, we're going to activate the first bloated corpse, and these Mirror Guard wandering into these woods without any scouting is going to be a bit of a disaster. Oh boy, somebody wants a big hug. Oh, just absolutely shreds a whole bunch of unit models, does most of the HP damage there on the Mirror Guard, so huge value. 425 points versus a 950 point unit like that very easily pays for itself. Meanwhile, the Chaos Rush is definitely incoming. Overcast final transmutation from Big Bird as he runs in here. Harkon's not a fan of that, so we're going to lay our Taunt and Hornswaggle, which is honestly probably overkill. You should probably use one after the other, but I just pop both here, and we're going to go all in to try and goon Sarthrel in melee, of course, since he has heavy missile resistance. Other 2 bloated corpses just kind of chilling back for now. My second line of zombies also just kind of chilling back, allowing these Chosen and so on to wear themselves out. You can see the focus fire is pretty real on my deck droppers, but Invocation of the Heck keeping them alive. Sarthrel's already taken half HP damage between the Crab Captain and Mr. Harkon. Nice AoE splash attack there. Actually ends up staggering a lot of his own troops. Of course, doesn't do any damage, but you can see the deck droppers now starting to focus on the units of Chaos Spawn as they come in here. My zombies are not holding up great, though. They're definitely crumbling pretty quickly, but not quickly enough. Oh man, I missed it. The second bloated corpse actually came in and got on these Chosen and Aspiring Champions. I apologize, guys. I definitely should have caught that on camera, but you can imagine what it would have looked like. The third bloated corpse definitely still just chilling for now. We're going to wait for a good opportunity to use it, but now that the Chaos Spawn are a little bit kind of separated from the infantry, we're able to get some effective fire from the deck droppers, and of course the lack of AP isn't a big deal there, but oh man, look who's coming to pop the balloon. Oh. It actually killed a couple of the unit models of the weird spawn there, but I mean, I guess better them than, like, these expensive Chosen, right? That being said, the Marauders, Chosen doing reasonably well in the front line. You can see Gunny's starting to take quite a bit of damage, and yeah, deck droppers are approaching their healing cap, which is pretty good. Big Bird's still alive, but he's only about 400 HP, a little less, and Harkon and the Fleet Captain still completely healthy as well. Black Spot also basically untouched, able to finish off the last of the weird spawn here with their bayonets. Oh man, that's the fight of the uglies right there, though, for sure. Gunnery White's able to get free and get some shots in from the side here. And yeah, it's just going to be a tough time for Chaos at this point. They've lost a lot of value to those surprise bloated corpses. And yeah, a couple of mistakes by Zach Bassane, but hey, we all make those mistakes, and it was a bit of a interesting army. I don't know that the Chaos Spawn are necessarily ideal here. I think they're pretty decent, but we can talk about builds a little bit after the game, but just to have some fun, I figured I wanted to try out the bloated corpses, and I don't know that it would necessarily always work. You know, Big Bird goes down here, pretty unfortunate, but it's definitely pretty map dependent. Like having, again, these little patches of woods that you can kind of hide them in sort of a defensive position, it's definitely pretty strong. on maps where it's more open, it's not quite as ideal. If your opponent knows you have them, or if they're, you know, too far away from the battle to be really effective, then it's pretty easy to counter them. But at 425 points, it's not that big of an investment if it doesn't end up paying off. So I actually kind of like bloated corpses now. I might end up taking 1 or 2, or maybe even 3 in certain builds, but yeah. The deck droppers plus Harkon, I honestly think the pistol deck droppers, just because of Taunt and Hornswaggle, you really don't need the armor piercing of the handguns as much. I mean, the handguns are certainly still powerful, but I really think that the pistol deck droppers, because you could use a bit of a price increase, but that's neither here nor there. The star of the show this day is the bloated corpses. Got some decent kills. The kill totals aren't super impressive, but considering the kills are all against, you know, high value infantry, except this one, which somehow killed 2 weird spawn. And of course the HP damage you saw there was very significant as well. For a faction that can't heal especially, that is quite important. So well played to Zach Hussein. I have one more replay to show you guys between him and I. So yeah, fun stuff. Harkon, of course, did his job sniping out Big Bird, and Gunnery White and Fleet Captain both tanked quite a bit of damage, but were able to kind of help sustain that line there. So very good stuff. Let's go ahead and get to the next replay. Alright, and we're back, this time with Crazy Crab Lady. We've got the Regiment of Renown Necrofex. Armor-piercing deck droppers this time, because I don't have the Taunt or Hornswaggle, so we've got the handguns, 5 each of polearms and regular deck hands. As for Zach Hussain's, oh, almost forgot, 2 bloated corpses, each hidden in the woods here. As for Zach Hussain's Greenskins here, he's got the Vanguard 8-peak loonies coming in from behind, a couple Squig Hoppers also, Night Goblin Shaman actually hidden in the corner there, very interesting. He's got 2 big bosses to help support the main line, which is a whole bunch of Savage Orc Biggins, and Orc Air Boys. Some Skulkers mixed in as well. Very, very good stuff. This is a pretty strong Greenskins build. The idea with the Regiment of Renown Necrofex, though, is to help counter infantry rush armies like this, because it has just massive impact damage. You can see the just roast through those Biggins, does a ton of damage to the Skulkers as well, has good anti-infantry, actually has a proper anti-infantry bonus, and that burnt effect is quite strong against Greenskin's low leadership. You can see the nasty Skulkers, just 2 volleys there, half HP, and they are out. But you can see the Orc Air Boys already starting to get some effective fire there. They obviously have very good AP values, and just generally, I mean, 75 armor is okay for the Necrofex, not great. You can see I'm pulling it back there. The AP Loonies getting in the back line, very efficiently cutting through these zombies here. I'm trying to fire in their rear with the deck droppers here, but it's not doing great. So far, both the bloated corpses are forgotten about. There's not really that great of a blob for me to shit into, but here comes the Vanguard's Revenge. Doesn't actually make contact, as quite a few of those units just terror routed, unfortunately. Zach Hussein was also able to somewhat dodge with this second unit. The Biggins there, granted, they did get the Song of Enthrallment, still get terrified away, and it did clip this unit on the end there. Here comes the Knights Errant. They're going to get going here, start to try and clean up some of these backline archers. It's a little bit late, though, as you can see the Necrofex still is not doing well, and I don't have the healing, unfortunately, to really sustain it here, so definitely a tough situation. It's a very expensive unit getting taken out. Granted, there's quite a few archers here. We're starting to get into them with the Knights Errant here. Smoke Bomb might be able to catch these guys from the nasty Skulkers, but we'll see. I try and pull them away before we can get Smoke Bombed, and it looks like we will be able to do so, perhaps. Silostra's starting to be the target of now all of the archers now, and even with her 150 armor, she's going to start to take consistent damage. The big bosses as well, especially fighting with the support of these Biggins here, will do quite a bit of damage. If she could fight them one-on-one, she would absolutely win, but in a pair like this with lots of infantry support, it's not great. The Lamprey's Revenge here are in the back line. Failed to mention them earlier, but the Regenerating Crabs obviously very good against the Greenskins, as they have no fire damage. Curse the Bad Moon actually being thrown down by the Night Goblin Shaman, doing quite a bit of damage to those Knights Errant. Actually did like maybe a third of their HP in damage. You can see the zombies just getting cut down by the high DPS Orcs and Biggins. I mean, despite the fact we're able to do some damage in some certain pockets, the zombies obviously crumbling very quickly. Balance of power starting to turn against me, as Silostra is all by her lonesome. The Lamprey's Revenge here getting Gorkle Fix-It and some other debuffs as well, so very good stuff. We've got the Pirates here not really cutting through much, and you can see the deck droppers just kind of out in the distance. I haven't really had that good of a place to, you know, use them. I guess trying to goon out the Goblin Great Shaman might have been a good idea early on, but obviously since he was hidden in that corner over there, I didn't really have the opportunity to scout him out, which is probably a mistake on my part, but both of these replays, I guess, you could say that scouting is important, and to that effect, I didn't highlight the bloated corpses at all, but basically they both just got popped without doing much. I think one of them actually got popped by the shaman himself, perhaps. I'm not sure. The other one I know got caught by some squig hoppers that routed off and discovered them by accident, so, you know, obviously it's not that big of an investment. Even if I had misused those bloated corpses, I still probably could have won. I think if I had just maybe protected the Gallows Giant a little bit better, because obviously that was a huge loss of a very expensive unit. I'm going to try one more Vanguard's Revenge here, actually get quite a bit of damage on those Savage Orc Biggins, which nets some huge value, but it's just too little too late. Silostra herself is crumbling at this point, less than 500 HP and just going down quickly. So, nice couple games versus, as Zach was saying here, obviously interesting builds. I don't know that either of those builds are super competitive. Zach's builds are pretty decent. I think that this Greenskins build is definitely pretty solid. I actually like the pick of the Goblin Big Bosses quite a bit. I didn't really show it too much, but they were at one point kind of chasing the Gallows Giant around and just doing some damage to him. Because Necrofexes, or Necrofexi, Necrofeces? Yeah, let's go with that. Because Necrofeces are not that great at shooting, like, characters on horse-sized models, I mean, they really are bad at fighting them in melee, and they have a tough time really hitting them effectively at range. So I actually quite like the big bosses directly as a counter to Necrofex, assuming you can get them in without getting them, you know, horribly killed or terrified. But, I mean, obviously, Silostra with no lore of vampires is a little bit tough. If you wanted to make this build competitive, you could probably cut Silostra's spells, like just cut all of her spells, just bring her for the Mass and the Knights Errant, and then probably cut these bloated corpses and just bring a lore of vampires caster. I think that would make this pretty competitive, but yeah, the zombie HP nerf is pretty impactful. I think Vampire Coaster's still strong, but they may actually slide down to like A or B tier for the first time. Definitely, you know, more well balanced than they used to be, but bloated corpses can be fun, but you can see on a map like that, definitely not nearly as effective on something like Altdorf Outskirts, so fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.